Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Goodlatte. It's my privilege to be here to speak on behalf of the FACT Act. Just a quick, oversimplified history of how the asbestos trust came into being. The manufacturers of asbestos, when it became known that it was such a deadly product, realized that there wasn't enough assets within the company to pay all the claims. So they availed themselves of the bankruptcy laws of this country. And what the bankruptcy courts said was, look, put all of your assets into a trust to pay off the victims, and you can reorganize your company. That's how these trusts were created. So the companies are not going to be on the hook anymore. The ones that survived and reorganized or are acquired have had their obligations with respect to asbestos discharged in bankruptcy. And what they did to do this was they created these trusts to compensate future victims. So what's happening now is there are people who are gaming the system, multiple claims in state or federal courts, and they're going to these trusts saying, I was injured by asbestos, pay me, which is what's supposed to happen. But you're only supposed to get compensated once for your asbestos injury. But if you do multiple claims, you're taking money out of the system that would be available for future victims. And diseases like mesothelioma take years to manifest themselves. What the FACT Act does is require these trusts to publish a very small amount of information. The name of the person who is filing a claim, the basis of their claim, I was exposed to asbestos at XYZ location and developed mesothelioma, and it specifically protects their privacy by prohibiting the release of their Social Security number. The information that is required here is actually less information than I would be required to give if, say, Mr. Cohen hit me with his car. I would want to, if I were hit by his car, I'd have to disclose my name, the nature of my injury, and a lot more information to file a suit in state court. We're not asking for any more information than is normally disclosed in any sort of litigation. And in fact, there's specific privacy protections in the bankruptcy code that are going to protect even further than you would in a state court. This bill was written to help those veterans who were exposed to asbestos and are not yet manifesting symptoms. It was designed to help all the victims that were exposed and are not yet manifesting symptoms. If we drain all the money out of these trusts, there's nothing that's going to be left to help the people who were injured later on in the process. So this is why I introduced the legislation. This is why I think it needs to pass. And this is why I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting it. I'm also happy that this bill was combined with a great piece of legislation to get rid of some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that's happening within the system of class action lawsuits. You know, I don't know about you, Mr. Chairman, but my wife and I have probably got a half a dozen or so notices in the mail over the years for class actions. And as a lawyer, I actually sit down and read them. And it ends up most of the time, they're offering me a coupon or a gift certificate or something worth a couple of dollars, while the plaintiff's attorney is getting millions of dollars. We need to get this system down to where those who are actually injured as a result of whatever has happened in the class action get adequate compensation, and those folks who weren't injured or happy with the product don't get anything because they haven't asked for anything, they don't want anything, and they weren't injured. This will simplify the system. It'll lower the costs, and it'll make sure there's more money available for those that were actually injured. This is a great combination of bills, and I urge my colleagues to support it and yield back the remainder of my time.